Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Marvel Crisis Protocol reveal breakdown. And today, AMG has decided to show off the Wrecking Crew. So, yeah, let's go ahead and take a look through this here. Most of this we've already seen before because we have already seen their card. I believe that was previewed at, I want to say Mini Extravaganza, maybe later than that, but yeah, I believe we've already seen at least the front half of their cards, so we'll go over it again, of course, in case people didn't see that or maybe have forgotten, because I've definitely forgotten a lot of things here. So yeah, let's just go ahead and go through them here. So the Wrecking Crew, they have decided to put them all on one base for anyone who wasn't already aware of that. Mildly disappointing, but very understandable why would they would do that. So yeah, let's go into it. So they're a 4 threat, so 1 threat for each member of the crew. They are coming in with 4-3-4 defensively and 6 stamina. They're a size 2 and a small mover. I believe they're a medium or a large base. They're kind of hard to tell from this. I'm going to lean slightly towards medium, but I could see large pretty easily. Um, so yeah, small move, but that base should help make up for that a little bit. And they've got 3 attacks here, all of which are 0 cost. And if I remember correctly, they kind of designed these where you want to kind of chain them one into the other. So the first one is Indestructible. It is after this attack is resolved, this character gains 1 power. It's a range 3, 5 dice physical attack, so you're just going to gain 1 for this as well. It's got the hit trigger Thunderous Impact. After this attack is resolved, the target character gains the stun special condition. Cool, so nothing too fancy there. Range 3 is nice. 5 dice is nothing to write home about, but it's kind of the average here. Next, you have Pile Driver. This is a range 2, 6 dice physical attack, so you got to be a little bit closer for this one. It says after this attack is resolved, if damage was dealt and the target character is size 3 or less, this character may push the target character away small. So you're going to shove them away. If they're size 3 or less, all you have to do is do damage, which on 6 dice isn't super unlikely. And then you've got the Wild Suplex trigger. After the attack is resolved, if the target character has the Stun special condition, which you give out with your first attack, it gains the Stagger special condition. So, yeah, on a 0 cost attack, really good condition to be handing out. Obviously, you do need to have gotten the trigger for the first attack and then this one as well, so not really guaranteed, but still really, really good. And then the last one they have here is the Wrecking Bar Fling. This is a beam for 4 dice mystic attack. After the range tool is placed for this attack, destroy all size 2 or smaller interactive terrain features it overlaps. Add 1 die to each attack roll made as part of this attack for each terrain feature destroyed this way. So yeah, if you can line it up where they're in a position where you can destroy a bunch of terrain with this, you're going to be able to potentially have a really, really big beam here. Obviously, it's going to depend how dense the board you're playing on is. But again, you can kind of see already, and there's more specific synergies in this too, but you can already kind of see if you do the pile driver first, you shove them near a bunch of size twos, and now you've got a good lineup for your beam. So, yeah, definitely some more kind of playing them in order things here. After each attack is resolved, you are going to gain 1 power, so it's another gainer. The only one that isn't is the pile driver here. But of course, it's on a beam, so if you have multiple targets, great. And then after each attack is resolved, if damage was dealt and the target character is staggered, throw it away small. So again, yeah, really, really wanting to be using these in order. You get the hit on Indestructible, you get the wild on pile driver, and then you get the wrecking bar fling. Hopefully you can even maybe hit a couple characters with it as well. Obviously, the stagger's only going to affect one, but still really, really good. Now, can't in theory do that all on the same turn, but they have a solution for that. So let's get into their superpowers here, starting with Bulldoze. This is going to be an active superpower. It's a 3 cost superpower. I almost said range 3. Push this character medium. It does not stop its movement if it contacts a size 2 or smaller interactive terrain feature. So kind of like rhinos here. Instead, the contacted terrain feature is destroyed. Then this character continues being pushed. If this character contacts one or more other enemy characters, one contacted character suffers 1 damage. Then this character stops as normal. So it's kind of like a mix of juggernauts and rhinos here. You've got that damage, but you're also only destroying size 2 terrain. Still, great little mobility thing here. Doesn't add dice, unfortunately, so you're not going to be hitting harder after you use this, but it is free damage, so that's pretty good. The next superpower on their card here is a reactive superpower. It's going to be costing you 3, and it's called Let's Take 'em Down, Boys. After an attack made by this character during its activation is resolved, it may use this superpower. This character makes an attack action and must choose an attack that it has not yet used this activation. The superpower can only be used once per turn. So very, very similar to something like Crystal's ability, and it does allow you to get all of these abilities off here. And the really fun thing about that is because of their next superpower, Enchanted by Carnilla, during the power phase you gain an additional 1 power. In theory, these guys can do everything they want on their turn fairly consistently. The least consistent part is whether or not they get to bulldoze. But basically, because they're starting with 2, if they get to do the indestructible, they're going to gain 1 more. They're going to be up to 3, which is enough for let's take them down, boys. Then they do the pile driver attack. Do their thing. Hopefully, they get their triggers. They line up a nice beam, and then if they can hit 3 models with the beam off of their let's take them down, boys attack, then they get to go in for that bulldoze there, and in theory do all 4 of the things that they potentially are all 4 of the offensive things that they want to do. So yeah, really, really cool the way they kind of made them all work together. And of course, they have, one thing kind of representing each member of the crew here, which I also think is just really, really cool. So yeah, flavor wise, these guys are a total win here. Again, mildly disappointed they put them on 1 base, but this is the best way they could have done it. So yeah, really, really cool in how they did that. All right, so scrolling down just a little bit, we do have the flip side of the card here, and unfortunately, it does look like this is another one where they don't actually change at all. Even the health stays the same. They're going to be 6 on both sides. So that is going to be something you're going to have to keep in mind here is none of this here is defensive tech, and they are going to be getting relatively close. I mean, technically, they can do a push and then a throw small, and that can get a good amount of distance, but that's kind of not going to be super consistent getting all of your triggers and things like that. So I wouldn't be relying too much on that. Yeah, they're definitely going to be a little bit on the squishier side. 4-3-4 isn't bad defensively, but they have no sort of rerolls or stealth or anything like that to try and keep them alive. So you're going to have to watch where you put these guys and what kind of enemies are able to hit into them because they will just die if you're not careful. Again, 12 health overall. They're not squishy, but they're not particularly bulky either. So you're gonna have to just be somewhat mindful of that when playing these guys. All right, scrolling down a little bit more, we get to the tactics cards they're revealing here. I haven't actually looked at either of these yet, but we have Mystic Menace and Stronger Together. So looks first of all that they're both unaffiliated. One's active, one's reactive. We'll go ahead and start with Mystic Menace here. During the power phase, an allied, the Wrecking Crew, may spend 1 power to play this card until this character is dazed or until the end of the round. When an enemy character ends a movement within range 2 of this character, that character gains the Hex special condition. Interesting. Very interesting that it has that specified until this character is dazed, because there are lots of cards like this that are like area of effect cards that dazing them doesn't actually do it. You have to throw them away to get rid of the effect. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Just throwing out hexes to anyone who kind of comes close to you. That's definitely a neat ability. I don't know if it's worth a tactics card slot necessarily, since it's really easy for an opponent to play around that. Just, don't move within 2 of them. But that can be a great way to kind of be like, nope, this is my point. We're holding it down. Oh, you threw me away. Well, I'm gonna, stampede my way back. So yeah, could be interesting for something like that. But again, you do have that issue of they're not the bulkiest models in the world and they can just die. And then that does remove the effect of the card as well. So still not bad. It's definitely a fun card. Not sure how powerful it is, but it's definitely cool. Next, they have Stronger Together. During their activation, the Wrecking Crew spends 3 power to play this card. Choose a character of size 4 or less within range 4 that was attacked by the Wrecking Crew this activation. That's really cool. You can take advantage of your beam for that as well to give yourself lots of options. If the chosen character was attacked once by the Wrecking Crew this activation, throw it away small. If it was attacked twice, throw it away medium. If it was attacked 3 or more times, throw it away long. I love it. Okay, so you can take a model that starts at range 2 of you. You can hit it with the indestructible, or I guess it doesn't really matter if you use the indestructible. Yeah, it does, because you have to hit with all 3. You hit it with the indestructible, you hit it with the pile driver, you've staggered it now, and you throw it away small. You get it as close to the edge of range 4 as possible. Or I guess you don't get it to the edge of range 4 yet. You hit it with the beam 4, then you get it to the edge of range 4 with that throw. Then from there, you throw it long using Stronger Together. That is brutal. That's just taking a model out of the game. I mean, that's if you didn't, take it down with 3 attacks, at least one of which is a 6 dice, or another one potentially has a good amount of dice. Yeah, that's really good. Not sure entirely how um how universally good this will be. It's got a lot of kind of requirements for it. Being within range 4 though is kind of big. Like being able to kind of say, "Hey, you're at range 4 and we put you there with a push and a throw or whatever, and now you're long move away," is really really good, especially if you got that stagger somewhere in there as well. So, yeah, really, really interesting there. The other kind of fun thing I was thinking about with their ability, let's take them down, boys, here, is it just says attack you haven't used yet this activation. So if maybe you didn't get the stun condition, so you don't really care for Pile Driver, you don't care for you can't get that trigger, you don't need the extra dice, you'd rather the extra power. You could totally, like, let's say, start with an indestructible, immediately go into a let's take him down, boys, into a wrecking bar fling, so you're gaining more power off of that gainer beam, and then your third attack, because it's your second attack action, doesn't actually have to be the pile driver, because that doesn't have that same requirement of you can't use the attack more than once. So you could totally wrecking bar fling again or indestructible. Um, just kind of ideas of things you can kind of throw around to play with the order of it. So you can use the same attack twice. You just can't use the same attack 3 times, and the one you're using twice can't be the one you use first unless both of your actions are to use that, in which case it's your first and your third. So there's some weird timing things, but yeah, you're not forced to use all three separately. It's just obviously they're very well designed to kind of have one go into the other, which is nice. I like that they give you that little bit of flexibility there, even though there's kind of clearly a intended way for it to go. If you just feel like you really need to make those beams, you want to gain a bunch of power this turn. I don't know, maybe you're using that power to play a tactics card or something like that, or this card. You're definitely free to do that. So you can still attack 3 times, and use the same attack more than once. Again, just that beam, if you want to generate a bunch of power to be able to use this card, you have that option there. So yeah, really, really cool bit of flavorful card that I think there's a little bit of strategy you can kind of put into how and when you choose to play it. So yeah, really, really strong card though. Anything that can throw a character along is absolutely amazing. So yeah, scrolling down a little bit more, we get a cool shot with them and Abomination here. It does mention that both are going to be Criminal Syndicate. We already knew that with Abomination from his panel of play. And we could kind of assume it with Wrecking Crew, but it's nice to have it in writing, especially with the way they've been making some of their affiliation decisions lately. They also mention the Asgardian villains in the Cabal affiliation, so they are very, very likely to be Cabal affiliated as well. Again, they're being very kind of explicit with that here. Really interesting that they're mentioning them as distinctly from Abomination as Cabal, because I'm still on that train of Abomination should be Cabal, and I really hope he is. Um, but we'll see. Seems like they might not be going that way. So we'll see what they decide to do there. But that is going to be it for today's panel to play. There's nothing else here in terms of stuff we didn't already know. They talk a little bit about the different abilities that they have access to and things like that, and a little bit of the character. But as far as game rules things, that is all they've shown off here. So yeah, really, really exciting. I think that does close out the final 2 cards of the box we didn't know about, so we weren't sure if we were going to say a tactics card for an affiliation there or not, but it looks like it is just 2 for Wrecking Crew, 2 for Abomination, and I think all 4 of those cards were unaffiliated. So yep, fair enough. I mean, that's that. I'm actually more than happy to see kind of most new characters coming out with cards for themselves rather than affiliation cards. I think it makes them more interesting, makes them really interesting splashes as well. So, yeah, I'm super down for that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think on the Wrecking Crew here. I think they're a really, really interestingly designed unit. I think they're super cool and they're very, very unique in what they do. They're kind of combining elements of like what Rhino does, what Crystal does, what Juggernaut does, and then they've kind of got their own twist on that as well with that kind of ordering of attacks that Crystal doesn't have, and a few other things. So, yeah, I think they're really really cool. Time will tell whether or not they're good. I think their card is really good. Their ability to throw something long is very much relevant, but whether or not they as a unit, I'm a little worried about their bulkiness. I think they might just be a little bit on the squishy side. They do talk about their synergies though. Specifically, where is it here? In Criminal Syndicate, they talk about Shadowland Daredevil, which makes sense because you're going to be getting, you've got a beam, you've got a bunch of different attacks. You can probably get a lot of value out of those rerolls. So, yeah, I think that's really, really cool. And I think that's definitely an interesting place for them and potentially kind of breathing a little bit of life into Shadowland Daredevil as well, which is always great. So, yeah, I really like them there. Um, yeah, I think they're going to be really, really interesting. I mean, we've confirmed Criminal Syndicate and Cabal. Cabal could be really interesting, even like as Red Skull 1, because you're again making so many attacks, gaining all that extra power, allowing you to more consistently use Bulldoze, even if you're not getting the as many targets as you want in the Wrecking Bar Fling. So that could be kind of interesting. I don't know if they need that much power. It might be too much, because they really they generate almost exactly what they want every turn. The one catch just being whether or not they get that three power out of that spender, but or not spender, but that third attack, because they don't really have a spender. But yeah, I think they're really, really cool, and I'm very curious to see what people do with these guys, and what kind of synergies people find for them. But that is going to do it for my thoughts on these characters. Let me know what you guys think down below. Are you guys excited? Are you guys disappointed? Let me know. I'm very curious to hear how people are feeling on these guys. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please do drop a like down below. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. We do breakdowns like this on all the new stuff that gets revealed by AMG. We also do battle reports and things like that on the weekends and more discussion focused content during the weekdays. So if you're a fan of any of that sort of thing, feel free to jump on in. But that's going to do it for now. So until next time, have a great day, everybody. Peace.